Hey, what's up everybody? This is Todd Bowen. Welcome to today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes, episode number 28. A little bit of quick fine print. My content is not medical advice. It's based off my experience and my opinions. I talk about good habits that have helped me live a higher quality, sedentary lifestyle working at a computer. Do your research, make good decisions, and be the best advocate possible for your own healthcare. With that said, let's get into the pictures for today. I need to come up with a nickname for the three biggest mistakes that I made for sitting at a computer. We can go with big three right now. Anyway, right now, the big three mistakes that I ever made was look at the picture on the left. My eye level was not even with the top of the monitor screen. This picture right here is kind of rare, the picture on the left where the top of the monitor is actually higher than the person's eye level. That's pretty rare. Usually people are trying to work from a laptop or a screen that's too low. In this case, the screen's a little bit high. So if you look over at the picture on the right, you can see his eye level is even with the top of the monitor screen. That's a great position to be in. You can see the neck is in a neutral position. It's not that forward head position like over here on the left. And over here on the left, it's also way in front of his torso, way in front of his body. So that head is weighing down. Gravity has taken a huge toll on that neck and that upper spine. The number two mistake out of the big three, worst mistakes I've ever made sitting at a computer, look at how his elbows are slightly below the desk. This can cause a huge issue, even though it doesn't seem like a big deal. In order to lift that hand up onto the keyboard on the picture of the left, his bicep muscle has to contract. And when it does that, it stays contracted all day long for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. And that causes a lot of issues. You may never notice the tension or pain in the bicep, but what that does, the first place you're going to feel that pain and tension is in that shoulder tendon. Two bicep muscles are connected to the shoulder here by two tendons. So that pain and inflammation is going to come into that shoulder tendon when this bicep tightens up for long periods of time. So we're not going to know that the bicep is even the cause of that. But anyway, to avoid all that, just look at the right, how he lifts his chair up just a little bit, the picture on the right, and the elbow is higher, just slightly higher than the desk level. That's the number two computer posture fix. One of the top three most important computer posture fixes, in my opinion. So the last one is look at his feet right here. Again, this may not seem like a big deal, but I had to learn the hard way. I used to sit like this for years. And just like with the bicep and the elbows, when your knee is bent back like this and your feet are underneath your body, some muscles got to pull those feet back. It's probably going to be the hamstring. With me, it was definitely the hamstring. So this hamstring stayed tight and contracted. Man, I sat like this for years, 40 hours a week for years. And it caused a lot of joint dysfunction in my knee and in my ankle. And a lot of muscle confusion throughout my legs from the anterior side versus the posterior side, just a huge imbalance there. Compression in the hamstring, shortening of the hamstring, overextension and lengthening of the quad, and just a lot of joint dysfunction, like I said, a lot of tightening the muscles and tendons on the front of the ankle and overextending the muscles on the back of the ankle. And this, sitting like this right here, caused a lot of issues with me. I ended up having 3 ankle surgeries from a sprained ankle, but that sprained ankle playing basketball, something else caused that. And I think the catalyst was sitting like this for a long time because I had bone spurs. I did have a tear in a tendon, but I had bone spurs, I had bone chips, I had all kinds of stuff going on in there. And it was from sitting in a bad position like this. So if you look over at the right, feet flat on the floor, that is a position that we want to be in when we're sitting at a computer desk. Here's another one. Look at the picture on the left, elbow just below the desk. That's a much better example of the elbow being below the desk. That bicep is contracted constantly in order to lift those hands up onto the keyboard. If you look over to the right, his elbow is slightly higher than the desk, which is good. That takes all the burden off the biceps, puts a little bit of burden on the triceps, but I've never had an issue with my triceps or my tendons in the back of my shoulder, those external rotators. I've never had an issue right there from sitting at a computer. I've had some tension there, but I've never had a lot of pain and inflammation there. You can notice here on the right, he's using a footstool because on the picture on the right, he raised his chair in order to get his elbows slightly higher off the desk. And what that did is it probably raised his feet off the ground. So that's a perfect opportunity to use a footstool. Sometimes we don't need a footstool, but when you have to raise your chair high enough to get your elbow above the desk level, that's a perfect opportunity and a perfect reason to take advantage of a footstool. And just make sure when you do use a footstool, just make sure that your feet are flat on the footstool or footrest, whatever you like for it to be called. Obviously, we've got a lot of slouching going on in this picture here. He could definitely raise his desk up. That would bring his eye level to the top of the monitor. Sorry, not his desk, his chair. Raise his chair up, bring his eye level to the top of his monitor, which may allow him to naturally sit back a little bit and take advantage of this back support. Notice here his elbows, they're above the desk, but they're flared outwards. See how it's flared out laterally? That causes a lot of tension up through here, through the collarbone. You got all kinds of tendons attaching to the collarbone from the neck and from the chest in both different directions, north and south. So when you flare your elbow out like that, all kinds of muscles are activating there. Even though your forearm's rested on the table, it's activating all kinds of muscles for long periods of time, and that will pose an issue. So he needs to lift his chair up a little bit, which will allow him to bring his elbows more comfortably towards his ribs, as well as it will bring his eye level to the top of the monitor screen. One last thing I want to mention about this picture, he's got the big black bulky plastic keyboard. In order to do that, you can see slightly where his wrists go from right there to right there in order to lift his fingers onto the keyboard. That caused a lot of carpal tunnel injuries in my wrist for a long time using a keyboard like this. I switched over to a flatter keyboard, which I have a picture of on the next slide, and it allowed me to drop my wrist like this to just a much more flat, neutral position in the wrist. And the pain in my wrist went away within a couple of days. It was pretty eye-opening how quickly, because a big misconception with carpal tunnel syndrome is people think it's from actually typing. It's from cranking your wrist backward, engaging those wrists backward to lift them onto the keyboard is where most of it comes from, in my case at least. So when you're able to use a slimmer, flatter keyboard like this next one here, here's a great example. I'm not paid by Apple. This is an Apple keyboard. I'm not paid by Apple, obviously. This is just a product that I paid my own money for years ago, and it improved my computer posture a great deal and decreased my pain. So this is a great example of a flatter keyboard. This guy is doing some stuff wrong. I'm not saying that this is a great example of posture, but as far as the keyboard goes, this is a great example of a flatter keyboard. He's got the extended monitor. Obviously, he can sit back a little bit, or he probably needs to raise his chair a little bit too, because his eye level is a little bit low, and his elbows are also out laterally. You can tell how when he goes like that, all those muscles right there, I just feel them from years ago. I could just feel them activating again and just screaming at me, telling me not to hold that position. But anyway, that's it for today's video, Computer Posture, Mistakes and Fixes, episode number 28. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're taking a big step forward in improving the quality of your life and your computer posture, and that's definitely something to be proud of. Sign up for free email updates if you want to see all the content that I create. My newsletter is called Computer Posture Weekly, and you can get that at sittingposture.com/newsletter, and I'll also put that link in the description of this video. If this video helped you out, hit the like button for me, share it with your friends, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would like to see my videos in your YouTube feed more often. So that's it for today's video, Computer Posture, Mistakes and Fixes, episode 28. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.